transitioning that to the new person. Because if we don't, as we have learned, without proper training, we're still missing
Okay.
the mark. So we've got to inform whoever's going to be responsible and inform them appropriately.
Okay. So that's a good thing. So that's on me. That's on me. So I got to make sure and let everybody know about their duties and the responsibilities and create a good flow chart about it. I thought I had one, but I know we're shifting task and stuff. So let's talk about it right now, or let me explain it to her. Let's go from the very beginning. Or Elijah, did you have a point? So about what's going on? Did you have a comment?
No, go ahead. I might, but I just I got trigger happy with the unmute. Go.
Okay, so here is the thing. What we need to do, the workflow, okay? Clients first call to ask for our stuff, and they are, they call the office, right? They call, we pass them on to Leo or Jorge or Juan, who sign them up for the initial consultation. They find a time, then I meet with them. I have the consultation. If they sign up on the spot, fantastic. I will then send a Slack message, new case, sign up on the spot, or I will create, or I may create a my case and then send it over to Amy, to then who will assign tasks. Yeah, and then okay, but let's say they don't sign up on the spot, which happens a lot of time. They call in, they're saying, hey, I want to sign up, I'm ready to start. Great. They send it over to Maria. So then Maria talks to them, gets the initial payment, and makes the arrangements on how to get the contract signed. Contract is signed as soon as the payment, even before the contract is signed, if the payment comes in, it goes to Amy so we can start working on it. Okay, so it goes to Amy to create a file and to assign task. The contract will come. Maria will keep on working on that. Okay, once Amy assigns a task, and I want this, the assigning of the task done within 48 hours of payment receipt, the initial payment or the payment in full, whatever. Okay, assign task, and then Maria will then follow up with them for the information questionnaire, just the information questionnaire for the forms. And what she does on that, she goes and does the contact questionnaire on DocketWise, okay, which is not inclusive. So we're working on doing we're getting a better questionnaire made so it can be more inclusive for the 485 forms and the I-360 forms, okay? We're working on that. And then, but at the same time, you know, if they come and sign the contract in person, they bring documents. This is, I guess, either is it Maria or Amy who scan the documents into Dropbox?
That has not been established yet. A lot of times they will give their documents to Nancy and she kind of scans them on the spot depending on how many there are.
Okay. Who has time to do it then? Amy or Maria? I know you guys both don't have time. So is that true?
I would say, well, yeah. It is. If we could get that other admin person in, that would be a great thing for them to do.
Okay.
But it would probably be best until then that I do it, since I'm setting up the files. I can just scan those into Dropbox where they need to go.
Yeah. Okay. So for now, I just need to make sure it's done within 48 hours. I'm working on the admin person. I just need to get them in place. But to get them in place is a lot harder. It's not just signing up, coming in, as poor Lucy realized. It means computers, setting up computers, getting a computer. So it takes a little while for me to get that done. So hopefully I'll get that going. All right, so documents are saved in. So while Maria is calling them up, again, within 48 hours of being assigned that task, I need you, who has to set up meetings with them, to call in and schedule meetings. And these include the forms questionnaire meeting. Schedule it, just schedule it. Doesn't mean you have to have these meetings, but just schedule it. Reach out to them and say, hey, let's set that meeting up. If you're so busy and so full, whether that means you schedule it for next week, that's fine. But at least they have the expectation that somebody's working on their case. That also means declaration. During this time, the declaration person can also schedule their declaration meeting with them, okay? As soon as those tasks get in, I know they get assigned to Jenny, and Jenny will then assign task out to Rosana, Osamia, or herself, okay? This also means if you have an evidence case, if you receive it as the evidence person, that means you also review the documents in Dropbox, determine what's missing, and then reach out to the clients regarding the missing documents. Or at least say, hey, I have your file. I'm going to review these documents that you have here, but I just want you to know that I'll probably be reaching out to you for following up things. Let's do this within 48 hours. The more communication we do with them, the less they're going to be being angry. Okay, so that's what
Hey,
happened.
Lorena,
Yeah.
I had a question about that, or maybe a comment where it gets hung up with me as far as documents go.
Mhm.
When the client comes in with documents, I don't usually get alerted, even after the assigned task is given to me, about the documents have been brought in. So I will, if the document folder is empty by the time I get to it, which is usually two to 3 days after they sign up, or I see the task assigned to me, and if the documents aren't there, I assume that no documents have been brought in. And then, so I send out the evidence list, make my contact, but then they tell me, oh, I brought in documents. So I wonder if we can get also a communication of that, if the client brought in documents in the assigned task or something, or before we get the folder back, the file, if we can let the evidence people will be let know that there's documents to be reviewed prior to making contact. So, or at least that there's some, just so that we don't look foolish and telling them we need all these things in which they've already brought in half of it or something.
Okay, so I guess when the creation of the file, even if they're not been scanned into it, there just needs to be a note, time entry, created file, documents to be scanned, client brought in some documents to be scanned or something.
Yeah.
And then you guys can either, reach out to that person or just kind of wait it out, or walk over to the file if you're here in person and just be like, oh, okay, they have these things. And honestly, yeah, the problem is we have to scan them, or we have to make copies of the things immediately on the spot if they bring them. Because I was going to be like, that could be something that you guys could do. You guys could scan the documents into Dropbox. So
I don't mind doing that for my cases, honestly,
Yeah.
because what I do is I put them all in one big PDF and then I extract it all and then I name it all. So I've already kind of have my own solution for that, a quick way to do it. So if that's easier, I'd be okay with it. I don't mind doing it.
I don't mind. And also the reason why I think that might be a better idea is because the sign up people are not going to know what kind of evidence you need. So they might make copies of everything, or might make, scan everything, when some of that stuff is really kind of irrelevant sometimes for what we need. So I guess if they bring physical files, so I guess if they bring physical files with stuff like that, maybe pass them on to you guys. At least put the papers are in the physical file to be scanned, or some kind of note like that in the thing. I mean, I think, okay, so here's the powwow. How should we do this? You guys, what are your thoughts?
I think getting the documents that haven't been scanned with the physical file would be totally okay with me, just so that I can scan them and review them at the exact same time. And I will make a mental note or have my checklist out and see what I need. And then so once I get the physical file and the documents, I can tell them right away, hey, this is what I need. I've already reviewed your documents. So that we can have that one conversation instead of, hey, I'll get back to you, instead of, and then just be like, hey, I reviewed your documents. This is what we need.
Okay. Stephanie, Esther, do you guys kind of agree with that too as well?
I think
would also
scanning
say-
takes time. I mean, because sometimes clients bring, not a lot of them, but some of them, sometimes they'll bring unnecessary documents and they'll just bring a pile of them, and then just having to go through all of them and having to take out what we do need. I mean, sometimes that is time consuming. So I don't know. I think having someone else scan documents, just scanning them as soon as we get them, would be a lot more helpful.
Okay.
I agree with that.
I was just gonna say that if we get that other admin person, that, if the evidence people look through and they're like, okay, these are the things I need, and just hand those to the new admin person to scan in,
Yeah.
but
I guess it
you know,
depends
kinda
on the
works
pile of,
different for everybody.
yeah, and I guess it depends on the pile of evidence, because sometimes they bring just a few birth certificates and it's like, okay, that's not a big deal to scan. But then we have some clients who bring boxes of files or of documents, and obviously I'm like, no, do not make copies of those. Ask for a client just to leave them, and then we can go through, the evidence person can go through and figure it out. And then if it's a lot of stuff, I guess, yes, that's why an admin person will be added, just to do whatever administrative tasks that are taking up your time to be able to be doing more important things. So yeah, okay. All right.
And I think on that note, if depending on how busy the admin person is, maybe they could have a list or an ongoing list of like VAWA, UVisa, AOS, and everything like that of evidence that we will need. Like also for DACA, like we need of this date, and this date, so they can actually look through all of the evidence that the client brought in and then kind of see themselves what we need and what we don't. But that also depends on how busy the admin will be.
Well, and that kind of makes them as another evidence person is what it makes. So we can try, and maybe as she learns, she can be able to pick those things out. But I think for now, if as long as they get things in, I think that will be good enough for things. So, and the problem is sometimes is that it, the problem is that they might be missing some things that are not quite as well aware, that might think, well, this might not apply there, but now it does apply. So yeah. Okay. Okay. So, all right. Well, for now, I would say if it's a lot of evidence, let's give it to the evidence person to go through first and to determine, and they can kind of scan it. And for now, evidence people, I just need you to kind of scan your own things. And, but we'll work on I'm working on getting the admin person so they can help with all the scanning that we need to do. Okay. And then if Nancy is free with time, you can give her stuff to scan too as well. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So then we go. We got that. Everybody's contacted everybody. Okay. So then we have our meetings, we have our calls, we have reviewed it. We call the client to schedule the declaration. Declarations are done. The questionnaires on DocketWise are submitted. Once those are submitted, then the forms people start completing the forms. And they obviously, if they have any missing stuff, they call the client and follow up with that. And then declarations are, read, done, finalized. Everything, once you finalize your forms to the best as you can, this is the first draft, you save them onto Dropbox, submission documents, and you let the evidence person know that you have completed these items, and so they can put them in the packet. Evidence people put the packet together, and then they are sent to the review person. And the review person is still Elijah, although this is what I think I need you to do, Elijah. If you're falling too much behind, you definitely need to let Alyssa, me, and Lucy aware of this, so we can take some of these files and start reviewing things too as well. I think Lucy, depending on once she gets a handle of our consular cases, she can be doing more reviewing things and initially review. Esther also has offered to as well. I think, actually, and Esther, my hope and desire is that you get so busy without that you won't have to do this, but I know Esther has some time right now. So if you want to initially give Esther for a grammatical check and for missing forms, like initial, to kind of get through it, she can also review things. So if you have a brand new packet, give it to Esther to review for things, because she's got a little bit of time now as we're transitioning roles and giving her adjustment stuff in as well. So,
although now that I came back to the office, I'm pretty busy.
Right? That's why I was like, hey, you guys.
So that's what I was waiting on.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm still good for translations though. Those I can do really quick. So.
Okay. All right. Let's do that then. Okay. All right. So then review person reviews it. So this is where I have a question. And this is where I have issue. I review things. Who do I give it back to? Because what I've been doing is giving it back to the evidence person. And then, but the problem is the evidence then person needs to distribute it out to the different departments to fix their mistakes. The forms person, the declaration person. Is that what we need to do?
Honestly, for me, and I know Stephanie and I've discussed this before, it's a lot quicker if well, I guess I'm speaking for myself, just to go through the forms and cover letter and table of exhibits to edit because we have the physical packet in front of us. And for me, I'm just flipping through, correcting as I see. And it's a lot quicker to do the forms and table exhibits that way. The only thing it's just not something I like to do is editing the declaration because that can become a little bit expensive. But that's just my opinion.
I know. Here's the thing. And I agree with you. I'm a person that has had to shake myself out of doing everything for people and just saying, F it, I'll just fix it myself. How do we make sure that forms people know their mistakes so they don't do them again and continue to do them again? Forms people, how do we do that for you guys? And there's only one forms person here on. Okay, all right, Roxana, that's fine. Okay.
Dulce just left.
Yeah, Dulce just left and Oscar's not on. So Stephanie Diaz, what would you help you to make sure that we get forms right? How can we give it to you so you can know things and learn from it?
Well, I appreciate what Ashley wants to do, but I think sending it back to us, then I could learn from it, from my mistakes.
Okay.
But
and I know, so I guess what here's the thing. What if we have the admin person scan everybody their mistake pages? Everybody's nodding. Yes.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
That works.
Lorena.
No, that works. Yeah, I think I think really too, what I do is like just scan it all in at once, and then the people can, then I assign out tasks, right, to people real quick, and all at once, right, and then they can just scroll through that one scan document in the notes folder that says like marked up packet or whatever, and then they can get to it then. Oscar was telling me earlier this week that like, I think what I hear from the forms people is they all want to see their mistakes because they do not want to have to keep making the same mistakes. I think it's painful. They want to figure it out. So I think two things. I think Ashley brings up a valid point. It is quicker, but I think in the long run, it is an investment in the all around competence of the team to distribute that stuff out. The issue though, the problem with that, and this goes back to this issue that like, why do we still have cases from September? Because I know, and I'm not trying to like point the finger, but I know that now finally those have been assigned back out as tasks, and I think people have probably gotten to them. But the problem is like we're multitasking like a mofo, and the forms people. That's what I hear from Oscar. He's like, well, I'm receiving. I think it's the issue is how do we prioritize, because these cases that are old, we want to get them out, like plain and simple. We want to get them done. But if Oscar or any of the forms people have 10 tasks that say high priority due now, then how is he supposed to differentiate between a new high priority task and then getting out this case from September? So I think that we need to come up with a system of communication that's like, if this is a case from September, it takes first priority or something. I don't have the answer, but they all just need like one more day's worth of effort, but everybody has to do it at the same time. And then the evidence person has to reassemble it and resubmit it so we can get it out the door. It's like, it has to be a concerted effort on just those specific cases because the multitasking is killing us.
Okay, so this is what we're doing. This doesn't mean you drop off the ball on your current cases either, but next week, we got to get all the cases out that we have assigned from September being the oldest ones. Amy, next week, those have to go out. They have to go out. So if you have something that you need to fix on those cases, we're going to work on that. And the following week, we're going to work on October. And the following week, we're going to work on November. And we're going to push those up. So it's more like I would say a 70-30 or a 60-40 on working on the old cases, still touching the new cases, but working on the old cases. So yeah. So setting priorities is an issue. And my goal, I'll tell you, priority cases will eventually become those ones paid in full. So priority cases, old cases that we have been dragging our feet on, those are priority cases. The second thing is paid in full cases. Well, actually, second thing is cases with deadlines that we have to submit, like U visa certs that are about to expire or a child is about to age out. Actually, that's number one. That's number one. Deadline cases. Then old. Then paid in full. And then normal. Just normal. They paid the normal retainer, you know, nothing a huge thing. But with that being said, all of these need to be touched in a week. It's not like, hey, I'm not going to do my normal cases this week. They still need to be touched. But that means maybe you just, like I said, doing a check-in call with the client. Just don't let them know, hey, just want to know, I have your case. I'm going to work on it this day. So, and maybe it means, okay, I know you guys get, if you're anything like me, if you're anything, which you're all or not, I know it's not. I know this for a fact. You're not bombarded with different things to do like I do, which is not a good way of being able to focus on things. But maybe it's just you setting aside, you know, these 2 hours of the day, I'm working on this case, on these old cases. And then maybe that means I don't want to be interrupted at the office, so I'm going to work from home. And I'm perfectly okay with that, as long as you're actually working and you're actually doing the results. But I'm going to reserve this time for this day. So I would say, you know, if you haven't, like I said, deadline cases, number 1, old cases, number 2, 3, paid in full cases, 4, normal cases. Those are the priorities. Okay. All right. But next week, all cases from September have to go out, or you have to give me a really good damn reason why they're not going out. And that means either the client is literally refusing to give us one really important piece of evidence, like the birth certificate of themselves, something like that. But if it's just because we're waiting on letters of recommendation or something like that, nah, we get it out. We're getting it out. Okay. So, all right.
I could jump in here. I have a sort of a down the line question, because I know we're transitioning to, whereas we wouldn't in the past, now do these like get out the bare bones thing, get it out if we need to, make sure it's out. Is there a central place where we're keeping track of cases where we need to send more evidence here in the next few months and we know what we need to follow up with? Because my fear is that these are going to get sent out. We'll be like, all right, we filed it. And then, I mean, I guess we could wait for the RFE, but that feels like it harms the client's case. It could make it, not harm it, but like they could be waiting longer if we wait for an RFE to be reminded, oh, we didn't actually send all this stuff. So my question is not to make more work, but are we keeping track of bare bones cases so we know, hey, let's follow up with this in the next few months and make sure we send a supplemental filing to head off any RFEs if we possibly can and go straight to an approval?
So the delay is caused by the client because we've been calling them to ask for these documents and they haven't got them to us, right? So they're aware there's a delay. And then they still don't bring it in. And then we want to continue doing the same thing that has already been done. To me, I'm like, no, let's just wait on an RFE. I know I think most of our cases are not going to be bare bones. We're going to have some that are bare bones. And I think that's something that can be noted, but I don't want to work preemptively on something that that we think is important, but then USCIS doesn't think it's important.
That makes sense. It just feels like we should maybe have a note somewhere.
I think we can send, you know what we could do? Let's send the client a letter saying, hey, we went ahead and sent it, but as we told you previously, we needed these things. So we think immigration is going to be asking for these things. So please continue gathering them. I
think that's a great idea. And then we have a record of that. The client has a record of it. And then whatever happens after that. Yeah, good idea.
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts?
Just on that same point, Kim Kirksey, just I don't know if that's gonna make or break a client's case, but also too, like sometimes, well, she's backed up on evals and stuff like that. So I don't know if there's a common place we can keep track of. Well, if we can flag a client's case, we're like, hey, they paid for Kim's eval and they're under the impression that we'll be sending it along with their application, but she never provided it. that was holding up the show. We file it anyways. Do we just, like, what do we do with that, if anything? Anyways, I'm just bringing that up because we're kind of seeing it now. Because I think we've texted Kim like a bunch in the last like month or something, like, hey, we're ready for all these evals now, and it's kind of tricky.
So that's a good thing, right? Yeah. Because we do say we're going to supplement them later. So I think you need to, I think we need to, I think you need to send an email. We need to send an email to Kim saying we submitted the file. And then you definitely need to CC me to that. So then I can have a follow-up with Kim. Because Kim, when it comes from me more, I think she realizes Lorena means business. So yeah. And I think what we can do is once we get the receipt notice from the BAWA, which they're taking about, I don't know, a month or so, then we can, again, maybe that's where it comes from me. Hey, Kim, we need to submit this thing. We have the receipt notice now. We need to submit the eval. Yeah. Okay.
Just recently, Kim just sent me a spreadsheet of clients that have met with her or going to meet with her. If you like, I can send this to Amy or someone that can note has been filed or has not been filed, and maybe we can send that back to her as well, just for her to have her own list with those notes.
I think that would be great. I think right now she just has so many that she's just disorganized and doesn't know which ones we really need out quicker. And she's just kind of like us right now, you know, figuring out where do we put our priorities? Where do we do it? So working with her spreadsheet and to make sure, I think we can do that. I think that'd be great. So either, yeah, probably Amy's probably the best one to manage that. So. Okay.
I had some ideas on how to prioritize declarations a little bit. I have went through my tasks and we have, so far I've found around 29 phone calls that need to be made. And I feel like if we make those phone calls first and get the phone calls done, go ahead and get the questionnaire done, upload it into Dropbox, because a lot of them are Spanish speaking. So I won't be able to do those phone calls, but I can be working on declarations while Rosanna and Samia are doing the phone calls and reaching out to them and getting their questionnaires done. I think that would be a good way to get us caught up, and then in our quote unquote spare time, be able to work on the actual declaration itself. And that way I can be writing, doing edits and all that while they're making those phone calls. So I think that will be probably their tasks at first, is to just make the phone calls and at least get the questionnaire in there. So, because in an ideal world, we would do the questionnaire and then immediately write their declaration, but we're having to look back at them anyway. Even if we talk to them and then immediately do their declaration, we're having to go back and look at our notes because the people all kind of start to meld together. And you're like, oh, wait, was it this person that said that? Was it this person that said that? So you're having to look at your notes anyway. So it would be better to just get the notes, get them into Dropbox, and then be able to come back to it after all the phone calls have been made. And if anybody has any input on that or doesn't think that's a good idea, please let me know.
I think that works out fine. I think that is a good thing. So.
I would say like let's think carefully about that and just try it out. But I do look, I don't know the right answer, but I almost think it's good, like you're saying, Lorena, we have to touch the file, touch every file every week or whatever, right? And so like maybe making initial contacts to get the ball rolling. But I also think it's problematic to try to juggle 50 balls at once, and I think that ends up slowing everything down. So it's like if you just try to focus on like, 5 declarations a week, I don't know how that turns out, but I just know that like that's whenever I think it starts to go, that's whenever it log jams to me, is when we get 50 balls in the air. And then it's like, now we're in 50 different revision processes or comment processes with these 50 different declarations. I'm not trying to invalidate what you're saying. And honestly, you guys are just going to have to figure it out, like what works best. That would be my position. But to me, we have to just be careful that we don't try to, we're going to multitask ourselves, and it's not really going to get us to where we need to get. That would be my thought.
Okay. You know, Jenny, with being in charge of that, I'm going to default to whatever you choose. But yeah, I think also, again, I think also the touch base with people is a really good thing, because it calms them down, but it allows you to focus on some things that are more present in front of you. But this is why you guys have your own departments, and this is why you guys specialize in your guys' department, because you guys know better. I know, and some people work different than some other people. I don't remember how I work sometimes on things like this, too much balls in the air. So, but I'll let you guys figure that out. Jenny, try this out and see if it works. If it doesn't, you know, maybe it just allows you at least to catch up with things. So, all right. Any other thoughts, questions about this as we go forward with this?
One thing I just wanted to make sure we're all doing, I don't remember if this is an issue on the questionnaire. I know when Maria was scheduled her questionnaires, they were on the calendar. So I just want to make sure that that keeps happening, but as well as the forms, when the client is scheduling, or you're scheduling with the client to go over form questions, if it would be really helpful just for people who are answering the phone, or if I'm dealing with a client, they sometimes think they're going to be talking to me because they don't differ from the text messages that are coming from different people. And it'd be nice if I can tell them, oh yeah, and by the way, don't forget you have this meeting with the client, with Oscar or Dulce or someone, because I know the forms in the past have not scheduled on the My Case calendar the times that they're going to be meeting, just so that we can know their caseload, 1, and 2, so if the client ever asks us who they're talking to, we can let them know.
Very good. Okay. Any other thoughts? Okay. All right. Well, enough with the tough talk. The tough talk about the issues and the problems we have at the firm. We have some good stuff too. And here it is. Weekly totals. We have got 1 DACA approval this week. It was a renewal. We got a DACA approval, so that's good. We got 2 work permits for people. We got a VAWA prima facie determination. What that means is this is when the case has already been reviewed initially, and the prima facie determination allows somebody to be able to get government benefits if they need to, but it also offers protection so they won't be deported. So this person won't get deported while it's pending. So it's gone to the first phase. We got an adjustment approval of 485 for a family-based, and so this person has a green card, a legal permanent residence card. We got that this week. And this is what I'm excited, because this is a long case and it's been pending for a long time. But let me briefly tell you, this guy came to me when he was in jail. And this was back in 2015 when I was at Guthrie and Rivas. He came to me, he was in jail. I asked for a bond. I got him out on a bond. He had a DUI arrest from an old DUI. He got out, we got him out. He was a cancellation removal case. In the course of me screening him, I discovered that he was also a U visa eligible. We filed for a U visa in 2015. But then he continued being in deportation proceedings, removal proceedings. We tried to keep on putting it off and off so we didn't have to actually go to trial, but Judge Sims was not willing to do that. So we finally had his trial in 2018. We lost his cancellation removal case, but we reserved appeal and it went to the board of, oh, no, I forgot this part. After he got detained in jail, he got released. I had to submit his cancellation removal application with proof of paying the filing fee. Well, by the deadline, immigration never sent me the filing fee. So I just sent to the judge proof that I paid it. the proof that the immigration out of my bank account that they collected the 185 filing fee, the proof of the check, the proof of the mailing, everything. Judge Sims did not accept it, ordered my client removed. We appealed it to the Board of Immigration Appeals. We were able to reverse it because obviously we had submitted enough proof that we had paid the filing fee. Went to Judge Sims, then he set it for an individual hearing. We had trial for the cancellation removal case in 2018. We lost it. His exceptional, extremely unusual hardship wasn't as much, and his good moral character wasn't that much. Throughout this time, the U visa was pending. 2019, he was put in deferred action under the U visa. And 2019 also, he got approved for the U visa. At this time, we were appealing the removal order with the BIA. And just this week, the BIA decided to terminate the case. So he no longer has an order of removal and he can stay in U visa status. So this is
Awesome.
yeah. So the Board of Immigration Appeals agreed, took away the deportation order. Our guy has a U visa, and in 3 years, he'll be able to become a green card holder. So victories, guys. You guys are doing an awesome job. I know the numbers are not huge right now, but this is just the beginning. We're just barely collecting the documents of everything that we've been filing the last couple of months. So awesome job, guys. I really appreciate it. I know I'm sometimes really mean. I'm mean. It's tough love. Tough love. Today, just so you guys know, I received a lot of tough love today at the gym this morning. I was told that my lifting sucks, the form I have. It was really harsh. And I wanted to just cry because it was so bad, but it's making us better. So my tough love, take it out as that mean dad that wants you guys to be great and wants all of us to be great. So I appreciate you guys, and you guys are doing a good job. We're going to fix these things. These are good problems to have because we're working and fixing them. Okay. So 223, I know this was a longer meeting. Will work. I have notes here. I'll take care of these issues. We're going to work on it. And I know we have a lot of trainings today, so that's good. Trainings are good. Let's give our shout outs, and unless anybody has any questions.
Not a question, but just an update. Our old client, Jesus Rodriguez Zamarripa, who is in jail.
Released?
Yeah, Kirsten got him out. They dropped the ICE hold. He's out of jail as of last night.
Oh, and then you guys heard yesterday, my favorite client who was pled guilty to manslaughter, unfortunately, because of a very sad accident. She was released from prison yesterday without an ICE hold. So great stuff. Good stuff. Wow. I'm glad to hear that, Alyssa. So good news. All right. Yes. Shout outs. Here we go. Anybody want to go first? Go.
I'll go for it. A shout out to Lorena for hiring new people. A shout out to Lucy for joining the team and our declaration writers. Too excited to have them. I know we're only supposed to do one shout out, okay? And then also shout out to Elissa for taking files off my desk and reviewing them at a lightning speed.
Go, Alyssa.
Okay, I'm going to shout out Amy for the FOIAs because we're still figuring out that process, and we're doing FOIAs we've never done before to different departments, and she has taken it in stride and she's getting them taken care of. And then shout out to Lucy, who I know I've been piling with work, and she's working very fast, and cases have been pending for months. She's gotten out in days. Great job, guys.
Lucy, we give shout outs every Friday to somebody. Do you have any shout outs? You don't have to. You don't know. You don't. That's okay. Who else? Amy.
Shout out just to Lucy for getting some of those things taken care of. Shout out to Alyssa for continuing to send me information when I'm like, wait a minute, I think we talked about this. I don't remember. How do I do this again? She hears from me a lot. And to Kristen, we continue to work through some of the admin stuff behind the scenes, and it's comical at a lot of times us trying to figure things out. So.
I'm going to give my shout outs. I'm going to give a huge, huge shout out to Nancy for being here every day and coming in. She's better than the mailman. No snow, no ice, no cold is going to stop her. She came in and held down the fort. So awesome job, Nancy. I'm going to give out a shout out to Leo, who's not here. Oh, no, there he is, for phones and also for talking to me about any issues that were coming up. I'm going to give a shout out to Esther for also reaching out to me to tell me about some issues that she was having and communicating with me about some needs and some options. And then lastly, I'm also going to give a shout out for Lucy because she is doing cleanup woman. She's doing cleanup man in a game. She's taking up care of some cases that we hated, those consular cases that I feel so like embarrassed about the shape of those are. And I cannot tell you, Lucy, don't judge us. We are really an awesome law firm. We just, that was our dark little secret we had about consular cases. So, but thanks to you, we're going to be on top of it. So thank you guys. Thank you guys. So yeah, go ahead. Anybody who wants to give a shout out or that was mentioned. I know I forced you guys to give shout outs, but I think it's good to see us. Man, anybody? No, I see Kristen.
Yeah, shout out to Maria and Amy. They helped me quite a bit with the contracts and a lot of admin stuff this week. So thank you guys very much. And of course, Nancy for making it to the office during our blizzard.
I guess I'll give a shout out to Amy, Kristen, and Esther for helping me out through all this week with contracts and quotes and math. I think that's the same shout I give out every week, but you don't understand. Those quote sheets are the devil. They're horrible. I mean, they're nicely done, Lorena, but when you quote them something different on there, it's like, what am I doing now? So yeah, thank you guys. And to Nancy, of course, for being awesome and being here all day, every day this week.
I would like to give a shout out to Rosanna. She actually is not in the meeting right now because she is doing a phone call with a client to do a questionnaire. She just kind of got thrown into it, but she was optimistic about it and just went with it. So shout out to her and Samia for continuing to do their declarations. They're improving every time and doing really well. And for Amy for answering my questions. Oh, and Kristen, because she'll get mad if I don't.
All right. Anybody else who wants to give a shout out? I'm not going to force you guys, but you guys. All right. Oh,
yeah, me to Maria, Esther, and Kristen, because she always helped me a lot with every single new thing that I have to learn, and Amy too, because always when I have something learned to trade to speak with the client, they always help me with that. So thank you so much.
And I also want to give a shout out to Amy for giving me a ride to the office this week. She picked me up from my house and everything. So I really do appreciate that. And to Nancy for, of course, holding down the fort.
well, that concludes our meeting. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. If you have any concerns, please let me know in the meantime. Okay. And have a good weekend. Hasta luego.